In a world where magic and mystical creatures are part of the natural order, mermaids have ruled the seas for millennia, while witches have dominated the land. A fragile pact has maintained peace between both realms, but everything changes when the mermaids, led by their queen Nerissa, decide to leave the water and claim territory on the surface. They discovered that the magic of the land can enhance their powers and extend their dominion beyond the oceans. The witches, led by the powerful sorceress Morgana, see this as a violation of the ancient pact and a direct threat to their power. Thus begins a conflict that threatens to unleash unprecedented chaos. The mermaids launch attacks against the coastal lands, using their magic to flood villages and seize the natural resources that the witches have protected for centuries. Morgana, furious, summons her coven to confront the mermaids. The first encounter takes place in the Twilight Lands, where fierce battles erupt, though neither side achieves a decisive victory. In the midst of the war, Selene, a young mermaid educated in the secrets of ancient land magic, feels a connection to the land she cannot ignore. She seeks out Talia, a neutral witch, hoping to negotiate a truce. However, when Nerissa discovers this, she banishes Selene from her realm, leaving her stranded on land, facing threats from both sides. At the same time, Morgana learns of Selene's actions and accuses Talia of treachery, fracturing the witches' alliance. Now exiled, Selene discovers an ancient grimoire in a hidden cave, containing secrets about forbidden magic that could stop the war, but at a terrible cost. Desperate to prevent more bloodshed, Selene decides to learn this magic. Meanwhile, Morgana and Nerissa prepare for the final war, unaware of the grimoire's existence. Selene infiltrates Morgana's fortress to obtain an artifact necessary for a final spell, but is discovered by Luna, a young witch who questions Morgana's orders. They form a secret alliance, believing they can stop the conflict together. As they search for the artifact, the mermaids launch a fierce assault on the witch's fortress. Just as Selene and Luna are about to succeed, Luna reveals her betrayal, remaining loyal to Morgana. Selene barely escapes with her life, now alone and without allies. Luna returns to Morgana with the artifact, amplifying her powers for a devastating counterattack against the mermaids. The situation seems dire for Selene, who realizes that using the forbidden magic may be her only option. The final battle erupts on the coast, with Morgana and Nerissa unleashing their full power, devastating the landscape. Amidst the chaos, Selene arrives, knowing she must use the forbidden magic to stop the destruction. As Selene chants the final spell, a powerful energy begins to envelop the coast, separating the forces of land and sea. However, she cannot control the unleashed power, which begins to consume her. With her last breath, Selene creates a magical barrier that halts the conflict, sacrificing herself to save both realms. With Selene dead and the barrier in place, Morgana and Nerissa, now exhausted, agree to a ceasefire and retreat to their realms. The barrier prevents mermaids and witches from crossing into each other's territories. Luna, filled with guilt, disappears into exile, seeking redemption for her betrayal. Though the war has ended, the scars remain deep, leaving both sides to face an uncertain future. Over time, the legend of Selene becomes a symbol of peace and sacrifice. The barrier holds, maintaining a fragile peace, and both Morgana and Nerissa guide their peoples toward cautious coexistence, honoring Selene's sacrifice and the hope for a future without bloodshed. Don't miss out on the best. Subscribe now to my YouTube channel and join this amazing community. Every week, new adventures, tips, and much more await you. Hit the subscribe button and activate the bell to stay always up to date. Let's start with the story. In a world where magic and mystical creatures are part of the natural order, mermaids have ruled the seas for millennia, while witches have dominated the land. A fragile pact has maintained peace between both realms, but everything changes when the mermaids, led by their queen Nerissa, decide to leave the water and claim territory on the surface. The mermaids have discovered that the magic of the land can enhance their powers and extend their dominion beyond the oceans. The witches, led by the powerful sorceress Morgana, see this as a violation of the ancient pact and a direct threat to their power. The land is sacred to them, and they will not allow anyone to claim it. Thus begins a conflict that threatens to unleash chaos never before seen, where both sides are determined to fight to the bitter end. The mermaids, with their ability to manipulate water and tides, begin launching attacks against the coastal lands, using their magic to flood villages and seize the natural resources that the witches have protected for centuries. Morgana, furious over the aggression, summons her coven to confront the mermaids. The first encounter between both forces takes place in the Twilight Lands, a border territory between the sea and dry land. The witches unleash storms of fire and hurricane-force winds, while the mermaids respond with tsunamis and ice storms. The battle is fierce and devastating, and although neither side achieves a decisive victory, it is clear that the war has only just begun. Amidst the war, Selene, a young mermaid educated in the secrets of ancient land magic, faces a dilemma. Though committed to her queen's cause, Selene feels a connection to the land that she cannot ignore. In an attempt to prevent further destruction, Selene seeks out Talia, a witch known for her wisdom and neutrality, hoping to negotiate a truce. However, when Nerissa discovers that Selene has contacted a witch, she sees it as a betrayal. Enraged, she banishes Selene from her aquatic realm, leaving her stranded on land, where she must now face both the mermaids and the witches. At the same time, Morgana learns of the meeting between Selene and Talia and accuses Talia of treachery, further fracturing the already weakened alliance among the witches' factions. Now exiled, Selene discovers an ancient grimoire in a hidden cave beneath the mountains, a place where the magic of the land and sea converge. The book contains secrets about forbidden magic that could stop the war, but at a terrible cost: the destruction of one of the two warring forces. Desperate to prevent more bloodshed, Selene decides to learn this magic, even though she knows it could consume her. Meanwhile, Morgana and Nerissa, each unaware of the grimoire's existence, continue their preparations for the final war. Morgana uses all her influence to unify the witches under her command, while Nerissa summons all the mermaids for one last battle, promising that the sea will reclaim what is rightfully hers. Selene infiltrates Morgana's fortress, seeking to obtain an artifact necessary for casting the final spell. However, she is discovered by Luna, a young witch who questions Morgana's orders and begins to doubt the righteousness of her cause. Luna and Selene form a secret alliance, convinced that together they can stop the conflict. As Selene and Luna search for the artifact, the forces of the mermaids launch an assault on the witches' fortress. The ensuing battle is the fiercest yet, with both sides unleashing their most powerful magics. The fortress, a symbol of the witches' power, begins to crumble under the relentless attack of the mermaids. Just as Selene and Luna are about to obtain the artifact, Luna reveals that she had always planned to betray Selene. In the end, Luna remains loyal to Morgana, and her help was nothing more than a ruse to acquire the forbidden magic for the witches. In a desperate struggle, Selene barely manages to escape with her life, but now she is alone and without allies, with the war reaching a critical point. Luna, with the artifact in her hands, returns to Morgana, who uses it to amplify her powers and launch a devastating counterattack against the mermaids. The situation seems dire for Selene, who realizes that the only path forward is to use the forbidden magic, even if it means destroying everything she knows. The witches and the mermaids face off in a final battle on the coast, where land and sea meet. Morgana and Nerissa, each unleashing their full power, engage in an epic combat that devastates the landscape and alters the balance of nature. The mermaids, using the magic of the depths, unleash sea monsters, while the witches summon the spirits of the land to combat them. Amidst the chaos, Selene, weakened but determined, arrives on the battlefield. She knows that the only way to stop the destruction is to use the forbidden magic from the grimoire. As both sides wreak havoc upon one another, Selene begins to chant the final spell, knowing that this will change everything forever. Selene's spell begins to take effect, and a powerful energy starts to envelop the coast, separating the forces of land and sea. However, Selene cannot control the power she has unleashed. The magic begins to consume her, and Selene realizes that her life is the price she must pay to stop the war. With her last breath, Selene releases all the energy of the spell, creating a magical barrier that separates the sea from the land and halts the conflict. Morgana and Nerissa, witnessing Selene's sacrifice, understand the cost of their war. Though the spell has saved their peoples, both leaders know that the loss of Selene is a reminder of what they have destroyed. With Selene dead and the barrier in place, Morgana and Nerissa face each other. They no longer have the strength to continue the fight, and their peoples are exhausted from the conflict. Finally, both agree to a ceasefire and retreat to their respective realms. The barrier created by Selene remains, preventing mermaids and witches from crossing into each other's territories. Luna, overwhelmed by guilt, steps away from Morgana's coven and disappears into exile, seeking redemption for her betrayal. Although the war has ended, the scars it has left are deep, and both mermaids and witches must face an uncertain future. Over time, the legend of Selene becomes a symbol of peace and sacrifice. The barrier between land and sea stands firm, maintaining peace, though fragile. Morgana and Nerissa, now aware of the dangers of their power, guide their peoples toward cautious coexistence, avoiding any conflict that could spark another war. Selene's sacrifice has changed the world forever. The witches and the mermaids, though separated by the barrier, begin to find ways to honor the peace that she bought with her life. And although Luna wanders the land in search of redemption, the story of Selene lives on in the memories of both peoples as a warning and a beacon of hope for a future where magic and nature can coexist without the need for bloodshed. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and comment.